I remember one comment you told me in London.
Uh,
I don't think that you even remember that you said that comment, or you, because your session was about one of your session was like in this year. I think it was this year or last year. I don't remember, but it was about migration. You had the migration project, successful migration project, and
yeah,
it was up there, and it was, you made it really good, and you have been pointing out all the, like, how to succeed in a migration project.
mm.
And I have been in migration projects. I know that you cannot just succeed on that. And I was like, I want to know what's your magic recipe. Like, what? How did you like manage to actually simplify it?
I think you mentioned the retailer where we migrated their new way broker, which is similar to Bistalk, to a
Yeah.
solution in the cloud.
Mhm.
We started basically very small, um,
Mm.
thinking about how can we move data from A to B, and then we found out that if you look at business server, there are several phases, right? So we thought maybe just do something like a claim check pattern or pipes and filters, having each function do its own thing, right?
Mm.
One does invalidation or transforming to or from a canonical.
Mm.
Um, you leveraging event grid as a ways of notifying the next service that it needs to do something, and the payload is always being taken from a container.
Mm.
Yeah.
So in that paradigm, I used in a way that it became very flexible as well. Besides transformations, you can also do other small steps inside a function. You can chain them together in any way possible you want because it's pretty small, as in what you'd say a microservices type of architecture, but also flexible in a way you can add 5 functions, but also 10.
Mm.
As long as each function does its own thing. So the single role of responsibility, right? So one function only does transformation, the other one does only validation.
Mm. But
And that setup, we tried out and it worked out fine. And it was very robust and it was able to also do a lot of high, these big workloads with low latencies.
mm.
So, and that's because with functions,
Mm.
compared to logic apps when we started, you're able to dimension them under a premium SKU or even dedicated. So you can turn the knobs. There's nothing wrong with logic apps, but when we started, logic apps only was consumption with standard and preview, and preview became, of course, GA. And then with a logic app standard, you only have free
Mm.
plans you can work with. So, and function still gives you a little bit more flexibility
Yeah.
when it comes to dimensioning and sizing of your compute predominantly. And if you got big workloads and you need to process them fast, then
Yeah.
logic app with with service bus, doing simpler with claim check pattern you can,
Mm.
um, but it just gives you more latency than functions.
Yeah. So that would be the. I actually wanted to ask, what's your like advice on when to choose logic apps and when to choose functions? But I guess
Yeah. So
that
now we got the answer.
you
Yeah.
already answered
Yes,
that.
And we already know what's his favorite
performance.
food, kind of.
Yeah, I remember that picture, and I remember the session. It was an
Yeah.
integrate this year, yeah, and I remember that there was no logic apps there. I guess, and I guess that you answered it now.
Yeah. My question to you was back then was like, did you actually manage to deliver that on time? Because it sounded big, and that was, you said me absolutely not.
No, we chunked it up in different parts, right? So also from a domain-driven paradigm as well. So we did um, products, pricing, shelf life. So there were different domains, and we just picked one domain, build our integration, deployed, and then we did the next, and then just built upon um, our experience and everything we've done in the first domain, we take to the next domain.
Yeah.
So we just like we call it cutting up an elephant in all small pieces because you can eat an elephant better in small pieces than you can just eat the elephant by itself. Just
Yeah,
a figure of speech. But
but
that's how our approach was.
yeah,
Mm.
but speaking of such a project, I mean, what's your what's your take, or actually, what was the success there? But I'm speaking about roles, and I'm speaking about who should
No.
be involved in the everyday process with such a project. Do you think?
Well, of course, you got your integration architect, more or less, slash product owner. So I had those roles. So I was partially in contact with the business and partially with the developers,
Mm.
aligning them on what needs to be built first and prioritization and such.
Mm.
And then within that team, of course, you have engineers, one one or two that build integration, one that focus a bit more on the CI/CD and deployability part,
Mm.
and also the ops thing, because as soon as you got some integrations running, you need to maybe have bugs as well. So those bugs needs to be solved.
Mm.
And within our team, we also had two functional consultants that were very well versed in how retail businesses work.
Yeah.
So we had several roles in that team, but that made it successful because we had functional people in our team too, which are to our disposal 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So that's why our velocity was pretty high, because when we're facing, let's say, a retail type of issue or we didn't understand, we could straight away call those guys,
Mm.
say, hey, this is going on in that particular integration. Oh yeah, we know what it means because
Mm.
there's something with supplement, or hey, this field had to be mapped as well. So because of that, instant access to people from let's say the business itself, or
Mm.
people that know all those processes functionally
Mm.
and know all the data types. Yeah, that helped. So that was also a critical success factor,
Yeah.
having those people in your team 24/7. So we had a team of two functional guys, three developers, one integration architect / product owner, and then also from time to time a network person, or
Mm.
someone that can give you access to Active Directory and such. And
Yeah.
there was also someone from the SPAR, and he was you can, like this,
Mm.
you ask something, things were done for you.
Yeah.
And that's why it became such a successful team, because the culture was great too. We created a culture of not blaming, but more like, hey, if something goes wrong, we learn from it and we move forward, instead of, oh, you did that wrong. Oh, that's not good. No, let's learn from our mistakes. And
Yeah.
there was no problem. Everyone can make mistakes, and that's part of your DevOps culture. And we just learned from our mistakes and moved forward. So
That sounds it's
It's
it's amazing. It's an amazing story, and I guess that the most we've all been in projects which was
yeah.
successful and unsuccessful, but I mean
Yeah, but this success, I like it because if I take one lesson from all of this is I
Mm.
need to set the more like the frame for the communication, because here the
Yeah.
Yeah,
communication was the key actually,
Yeah.
and get the right people into the right place, and it's not
exactly.
not
Yeah.
the architect or the developer who decide how the business process should look like.
No.
It's different people and functional people and technical. It's
And I mean, digging into mistakes and us like blaming each other is, I mean,
yeah.
we all know that doesn't help, but still
No.
we do it sometimes, but it's it's never productive.